Now I know what you might be thinking first of all. Next, is this the video that you've been hyping up for the past week and a half on your Twitter? Which you should definitely follow, by the way? Sadly, no. That video is taking much longer than I thought. But I recently just saw something that made me so unbearably angry that I honestly couldn't wait to make a video on it. I recently just watched the first episode of the brand new Halo series on Paramount Plus, and I genuinely have no words for it. Which is a little ironic since I made an entire script talking about it. I don't know why I put that in the script, it's just kind of there. The show is the most annoying thing I've ever watched, just because of how much it changes from the original game. Sure, adaptations are meant to make changes to the source material. That's why I didn't have a problem with them changing Commissioner Gordon's race in the new Batman movie, or them changing basically everything in the Hobbit trilogy. As long as what they're changing enriches the story in any way, shape, or form, I'm completely fine with it. Here's where we come to Halo, a gaming franchise that practically made the FPS genre, Xbox, and so many other things. Along with Halo's rich history, it also comes with a rich present, as Halo Infinite, the newest game in the franchise, recently just broke the mold of what an FPS should be in the modern age, by not adding a Battle Royale mode. Which I know might not sound very compelling, but that's a pretty big thing. Needless to say, like many others, I was pretty hyped for this series, and wanted desperately to know how it was going to turn out. I didn't think anything could go wrong with this series, but sadly, I was mistaken. The first episode of this show actually starts off pretty balling, I'm not gonna lie. Covenant forces drop down and start blasting.
Anyway, I started blasting. Well, I don't see so good, so I missed. Then they ran away. I ran after them.
Okay.
Tried to shoot them in the back, but I don't run so good either.
I love the way they do the Covenant weapons. They are so brutal in this series that it actually made me think that this was TVMA. Which it isn't, it's TV-14 somehow, but it's pretty graphic. Though the problems start to begin after Master Chief lands. Notice how I said after he lands, as Master Chief landing is the coolest thing you'll see him do for the rest of the episode. Now, I don't know why, but the CGI they used for the jumping of the Spartans just makes them look really goofy and a little lame. Not too big of an issue, but it just kind of puts me off a bit. The second problem starts when Master Chief starts to talk.
Silver team, engage.
In all honesty, I was super disappointed when I heard his voice for the first time. Master Chief has always been up there on my favorite voices in video games. Up there with Solid Snake.
I'm fighting a giant gay man who shoots lightning out of his fingertips. A man who could talk to bees. And a furry. But Lunchables, that's where we draw the line.
Kratos.
Read, boy.
And Minecraft Steve. But the voice for Master Chief in this one is one of the most plain and boring voices I've ever heard. No offense to the actor who plays Master Chief, Pablo Schrader? Pablo Schreiber, there we go. But his voice just can't compete with the raspy, commanding voice of Steve Downes. Well, the battle continues, and the only survivor watches her dad die. Oh, sad. But then, she gets saved by Master Chief. Also, can I just say that this girl has probably the worst haircut I've ever seen? Like, you could dive headfirst into a lawnmower and get a better cut. But she gets put on a pelican, and Master Chief touches a rock that gives him his memories from when he was a kid or something. I don't know. And then the Chief takes a pelican with the girl whose daddy died. Oh, sad. And starts going back to Reach. There's a couple of side plots here, but they're all so incredibly boring that I actually found myself dozing off during this. So I'm just going to speed through it until I find something of interest. The scientist who made Master Chief talks with a person and it's revealed that Cortana is a real person for some reason. Here's where I ask, why? Why make Cortana a real person? That literally does not make any sense. They could have just had AI do this. Why make her real? The whole point of Cortana was to show that Master Chief would do anything to protect the ones he loves, even if they're not even really there. And the fact that she isn't really there makes their romance more genuine, showing that really emotional connection. Cortana being real just messes all of that up in so many ways, but I don't feel like dedicating more of this script to talking about it. Next up on our actual plot, the bad haircut girl refuses an offer by the government. Alright. Next up on our not actual plot, the girl who talked with the bad haircut girl talks to her dad. Very interesting. Next up on our plot that hasn't even been brought up yet, Mercy, the leader of the Covenant, apparently has a human daughter for some reason. I don't know. Didn't care. Nobody asked. Ratio. Lastly, back to the only semi-interesting plot. Master Chief is told he has to kill the bad haircut girl. But he refuses because, I don't know. He's only really had one conversation with this girl, and it's pretty much just been where she calls him a murderer and says she hates his guts. Seems like a good reason to go AWOL to me. So, he takes out the security cameras, even though it's later shown that the government just can see into the ship somehow anyway. So him doing this literally does nothing. And you would think that the first thing he should do is take out the autopilot, but whatever. I already stopped trying to understand this show. So in retaliation, the government shuts off the oxygen in the ship just enough to knock both of them out. But somehow, Master Chief just kind of wakes up and turns it back on. How did he wake up from being unconscious by lack of air supply? I have no idea. This is never explained, like many other things in the show. So, the government decides to send out an entire squad of people into space for a huge space fight. But Master Chief's Pelican is instantly downed by a single shot. This is when Bad Haircut wakes up and tries to kill Master Chief, because I guess she forgot that Master Chief is capable of taking down an entire army of Covenant single-handedly. But she backs down when Master Chief does the one thing that could ruin this entire series going forward. You see, I was willing to look past all of these flaws. Look past the sloppy writing, the bad decisions, the boring story, and even the lackluster performances, as long as Master Chief continued to do cool things while wearing his iconic helmet. But sadly, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. The rest of the show was like paper cuts, annoying and uncomfortable to sit through, but this was the stab wound. Master Chief shows his face. This was the thing that made me truly hate this series. Why take off his helmet? It doesn't make any sense. I honestly didn't expect them to do this, at least not in the first damn episode. I'm just going to be completely honest here. I hate when shows do this. There are characters that are based on appearance. For example, take Boba Fett. Boba Fett in the original trilogy only spoke 27 words, with one of them being "ah!" But his first appearance was good enough to warrant many people making him their favorite Star Wars character. The Mandalorian, which was supposed to be a Boba Fett and IG-88 show originally, knew this well and only took off his helmet at the end of the first season and 2 other times in the second season briefly. It was only when Boba Fett got his own show, titled The Book of Boba Fett, did people start to not like him. One of these reasons being that he didn't ever have his helmet on, which made him less intimidating and interesting altogether. Simply put, when a character is based on their design, you have to keep it the same, or else you lose that immersion. And the Halo franchise knew this well, actually never showing Master Chief's face and keeping it concealed behind that mysterious helmet. All of this to say, this decision sucks so unbearably hard. This isn't a small moment either, as he keeps it off for the remainder of the episode. Literally, the one thing that could have gone wrong did. So, Chief touches the rock that gives him his memories, and it starts back up the ship somehow, and they fly off into the universe. The end. The end. Ooh, yeah, the end. Ugh. This show is awful. Like, not even just the fact that Chief removes his helmet, which should be reason enough, but the fact that the show just isn't even good, or original for that fact. This is obviously just a ripoff of the plot of The Mandalorian. Kid is the last of their kind, faceless soldier is ordered to kill them. He doesn't kill them because he grows a conscience, doesn't take the child to the people that want them, and they run off on adventures through space. Nothing about this show is original. It's just the first 3 episodes of The Mandalorian condensed into one big rushed mess. I honestly can't see this show getting better. But since I already have it on Paramount Plus, I'm probably going to watch it to see if it picks up, or somehow it gets worse. This has been the Big Nerd Rant. Thank you all for watching, and if you haven't done so, please subscribe. And if you like this content, then please consider leaving a like to show your support. Oh, and I just streamed on Twitch for the first time, so yeah, if you want to go check that out, then there will be a link in the description below. But anyway, that's all I got for today. See ya.